Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday Tier Talk. We're back on your screens. Darren has returned from New York. How did you get on, my friend?
Oh, good, pal. Yeah, great trip was had. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Just an unbelievable city. If you get the chance, I know you've been a few times, but I suppose anybody listening, you get the chance to go to New York, grab it with both hands. It's just there's something a bit magical about it.
Has everything, doesn't it? And I seen there today they were lighting up the Rockefeller Christmas tree, and NBC were covering it, and it's the 92nd year they've done it. It's mad, isn't it? 92 years.
It's insane. The whole city is insane. For good, for bad, for ugly, it's all just insane. But it's a great place to be. There's a lot of good people there with a lot of good energy and stuff like that, and it's a really cool place, and it's a place that you can. I'll tell you something I did, and I don't know if I told you this off stage. I went to lots of places that like I had seen on social media. So like I went to one of the food trucks to eat. You know the food trucks with the vendors and they do the chicken and the rice and all that. I went to one of them one night. The halal guys, they're called. They're one of the big guys that do it. There's a queue down the road for your chicken, your rice, and your gyro and your salads and all that. Now they'll make it up whatever way you want. There's obviously minus the salad and sauce for me, whatever. But queued for that, and obviously hit the Diamond District. Was in talking to Moses the jeweler and Benny and Carrie and stuff like that. And then another day we went to another place where it did ice cream, and we just hit up loads of kind of cool spots, and it was just epic, man.
Carlos is a must, isn't it?
We were in Carlos Bakery. We were in the Magnolia Bakery. There's just somewhere else on every street corner. You look over here and you go, oh, look at that place, and then you look at the opposite corner and you go, yeah, but shit, look at there. And that's like, I hadn't been until my 38th birthday. And I went for my 38th and my 40th, and then we went obviously in the summer last year. So I've been 3 times in 2 years. And to be honest with you, I could go back every year and not get bored of it. I really could.
Absolutely. It's cracking. As I said, I was there before. I was there for SummerSlam, I think in 2008 or 2007, I think it was. And we had a great time. And I told you I attended a fireman's funeral and all where they found his remains out of 9/11 and stuff like that and all. And the procession was unbelievable. It was incredible. Unbelievable city.
Unbelievable.
Baz is in. Evening, lads. What's the crack? Hope you enjoyed your 40th Dazzler. There you go. Look at me. Look at emojis, a long comment, all that kind of stuff. Love it, Baz.
He's a good guy, Baz, though. Let's be honest here.
He is. He's top lad. Top
sure
lad.
Is.
Right, we're going to take a look back at last night and the night before. A quick look back at that, then we'll run down through our Premier League preview. We'll probably have a chat about Mikel Poulos. We'll have a chat about him as well. We will take a look. Obviously, I'll pop it up every so often when we get to talk about it.
Absolutely.
We'll also talk about the manager and player nominations for the month of November. I think based on what we spoke about today, it kind of sells itself. It's no big thing. We'll do our bets. But I also want to take a look at some highlights and pointers from Goodison Park. Obviously coming up this Saturday, the very last Merseyside derby at Goodison.
Yes.
Very sad to see an old ground like that go for redevelopment. New beautiful stadium down in the Docklands and stuff like that.
And it really is beautiful.
But I think we should mark the ending of an era with Goodison Park. It was a first for many things, and we'll go through it later, but I'm sure my Liverpool friends on here will be wondering what the hell he at. But I think it's important to mark these things. I think people forget just how big Everton has been in English football down through the years and the decades.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to mark it. So we will.
And something I've spoken about before is, the respect I have for Liverpool as a United fan because they were a rival. And I think that's something maybe you're doing tonight with Everton and the respect you're showing them because obviously they've been, rivals with Liverpool. So that's kind of...
Yeah. I think the problem with Everton, because they've had such a drop-off for the last 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, I think people forget how instrumental and big they were back then. and they were competing for everything. It was a massive rivalry in the city and stuff like that and all. And I think it's important because it's the last one. I'm sure it's going to be emotional for the Everton fans and for the Everton players. I don't think Sean Dyche will have to do too much of a team talk, to be honest, to make it seem exactly how important it is to come out of there with a win on Saturday and stuff like that. And Arne Slot will have to do the same based on last night. Just to keep you updated on tonight, Fulham and Brighton has 1-1.
It's not. Fulham have just taken the lead.
Oh, have they?
There you Fulham go. Have just taken the lead. Now, it's from a corner kick. Andreas Pereira's just come on. He took the place of Emil Smith-Rowe. Now, Pereira got booed and he came on. Apparently, there's some comments attributed to him, and the fans aren't very happy with him. Now, I haven't seen the comments, but Pereira goes out to take the corner. He whips it in. It gets inside the 6-yard box, and it comes off the back of Matt O'Reilly. It's an OG. It hits Matt O'Reilly, who is marking Calvin Bassey. And would you believe he turns his back on it and it hits him in the backside and ends up in the goal?
Jesus. Unbelievable. There you go. So it's 2-1 to Fulham anyway then, as you said. Baliba, who had gotten the equaliser, who was suspended at the weekend, which was a ridiculous suspension, to be honest. Iwobi had scored the opener on it. Iwobi having a real good season this season as well. And it was an opportunity for Brighton to go above Man City again if they could pick up a couple of goals in this as well. It's just gone half-time as well at Bournemouth. Bournemouth are 1-0 up. Hewson or whatever way you pronounce it.
Hoyson
got the goal. So it's 1-0 to Bournemouth at the moment. Spurs doing Spursy things again. So we'll keep you updated.
I was looking earlier on at the teams when they were announced and stuff like that. Spurs were a model to drop points tonight. I don't know whether you've seen the Spurs starting lineup, but it's a really poor starting lineup, and I'm just going to give you a very quick flavour of it. Now, most people will be able to name the Spurs, certainly goalkeeper and back four.
Yeah.
At the minute, with injuries and stuff like that, there's a fit in there. So you've got Foster in goal. He's gone Udogie at left back, but the two centre backs are Ben Davis and Radu Dragusin. And instead of Porro at right back, he's gone Archie Gray. He's gone Sarr, Basim and Madison, and then Kulishevsky, Solanke and Johnson. So your bench is Reguilon, Son, Bergvall, Werner, Porro, Spence, Austin. There's a lot out of there for Spurs, and obviously Christian Romero, Mickey van de Ven as well. So Spurs really have to dig deep there. That's not an easy place to go. We've seen teams get beaten there recently. Manchester City, one of those teams who've been beaten there recently. So there's going to be a tough second half for them. Real tough second half for Spurs. And there's changes afoot, I would imagine.
Who are Spurs? Oh, do you know what he's doing? He's probably looking at the Chelsea game coming up at the weekend, is he?
I think by the looks of it, there was a lot of managers that made changes for the midweek games on the back of the two Premier League games, either end of it.
Yeah.
It's unlikely you can start the same, 11 players in all three games. And it's a lot for them. And we talk about player welfare and stuff. We obviously saw last night Amarin made a number of changes for United, and it did wanted, but that's not to say that's not the right thing to do with the squad and to try to get them through to a stage of the season where things are still on the table and you've lads with legs with a bit in the legs and stuff like that. So it's important. You don't want to burn guys out too early in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's go first of all back to, we have these, we'll go through Tuesdays first. Tuesdays aren't in this graphic. So we had a big win. Crystal Palace 1-0 Matete against Ipswich, and West Ham losing 3-1 to Leicester City. Rude getting off the mark with a win.
This was just, I was really happy with, because I think he had done a really good job at United. And I think, if he doesn't do the job he did at United, he probably doesn't get the Leicester gig. Now, he might have been in the conversation, but I don't think he gets it. I think on the back of what he did at United, Leicester decided, we'll give it a spin. I'm delighted to see them get off to a winning start the other night. I think Julian Lopetegui and West Ham are really struggling at the minute. And we mentioned this a few weeks ago. We know he's a manager with a super CV, and You know, we know he knows what he's doing, but sometimes things just don't translate. And at the minute, it looks like his style of play isn't translating very well to the Premier League. He struggled at Wolves. He's now struggling at West Ham. This is a guy who won stuff with Sevilla, with Real Madrid, with the Spanish national. Like, he's a top coach, but it's not working out. And I think that on this occasion, I think the speed of the league is what's catching up with Lopetegui and his tactical assessment of how the game needs to be played.
What are you thinking there? Change? Make a change?
I see, just looking in the other direction, I see they've dubbed the West Ham Wolves game El Sacrico on Monday night. That whoever loses, himself and Gary O'Neill, somebody could be getting the chop, because Wolves obviously on the back of a huge defeat at Everton.
There's the chances of a draw and they both get the chop.
I think you'd have to favour West Ham, obviously being at the London Stadium. Wolves having to go on the road. West Ham probably have more goals in them, and Wolves are a little bit more susceptible at the back. So I think you'd have to favour West Ham, but it's still a huge amount of pressure on our both managers, you know. Yeah,
kind of uncomfortable conversation for you as well. And I know it's, for me, there's parallels with it and with Burnley last year. Kieran McKenna, struggling in the relegation zone at the moment. I know he has obviously a bit of credit in the bank. He's done a phenomenal job at Ipswich, getting them into the Premier League. Hasn't necessarily had the dosh thrown at him as well either to do what needs to be done, I suppose. What you're thinking there? Will they would they be happy to stick with him and just go back down, or what?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'd be more than happy with that, or more than comfortable, should I say. I don't think anyone's happy getting relegated. But I think it was such a big step for them from where they were. I think they brought McKenna in with a 2 to 3 year plan. And because he was able to achieve it so quickly, they were ahead of where they expected him to be. So, I mean, even if they went down and got relegated, made a couple of sales, like there's a couple of guys there going to go for big money. You know, if the boy Delap keeps going the way he is, he's a £60 million player all day, every day. And the boy Leif Davis, obviously the left fullback and stuff like that. And the boy Muric, the goalkeeper, has done himself no harm either. So he's adding value. If you ship out, 100, 120 millions worth, you invest half of that going into the Championship. You've still got McKenna at the helm. You've built a little more on the squad, and you keep adding to that. I think that for Ipswich will be huge. And I think they've got to stick with Kieran McKenna. You know, with the faith that he showed them, I think it's important that they do the same with him.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm just wondering, would they look at the Burnley situation and go, well, you know, if we make a change here, there's a lot of teams at the moment struggling in the division. They might be able to, you know, get another season out of it or something like that, you know. So, but let's move into then last night's games. Obviously, Everton on a mad one last night, 4-0 against Wolves. Seeing Gary O'Neill at the end of the game, he looked a pale shadow of himself, to be honest. I looked at him with the players after the game. Looked like he was nearly saying goodbye.
Yeah, it was tough, obviously. A couple of OGs don't help, did they?
No.
And we have another goal. Hang on to your hats. Fulham have just gone 3-1 up. The ball's currently at the back for Brighton. Brighton are knocking the ball around. And the boy Sander Berg, that United looked at, has nicked it, and he's given it to a Wooby, who's given it to, I don't know who that is. It's just, come on. Back with the feet of Berg. The goal's coming now, Berg. Some real tidy play down the line. Gets the ball to the boy Anthony Robinson, who we're a big fan of. He plays it inside to a Wooby. A Wooby, beautiful step over and turn. Does he score? And a Wooby bends it into the far post.
He's having a serious season. He's having a serious season this season.
Now, I have to tell you, it's a great finish, right? Oh, Anthony Robinson's going to get the assist, by the way, which is important for fantasy football purposes. But when he gives it to a Wooby lets it go over him and stud rolls it into his own path and checks it onto his right foot and gets it and bends it into the far stick around for Bruggen. It's a really, really nice piece of work. Robinson does well, plays it. The stud roll is beautiful. He's hung on to it. And there's a little curler in off the back post. A great finish by a Wooby. Been super at Fulham. Absolutely super.
Yeah,
it's starting to look like the kid that Arsenal thought he was going to be, because there was a big hype at Alex Iwobi when he came out of Arsenal.
I was just saying, scored 2 goals tonight. He did indeed, and
He got the first and the last.
He's actually been playing. Actually, if you look at Fulham's form in the first 3 or 4 months or whatever it is, he's been quite consistent in his play. He's been showing up a lot and playing well, So yeah, so Everton putting 4 in. Last thing that I needed with the Merseyside derby coming up lunchtime on Saturday.
Yeah, because they're quite solid at the back. Everton, they make things difficult for teams. Dice drags you into that dogfight. They're very physical, obviously, with Branthwaite and with Tarkovsky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think Ashley Young's been doing a really good job for him in that right back slot. Like, he's 39 years of age. He's now spring chicken. He's been playing very, very well. And again, another guy we mentioned quite a lot, Jordan Pickford, has just been phenomenal. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He really has. So they've been doing well at the back, and obviously adding the goals, and I know 2 of them were OGs last night, but adding the goals that they haven't been able to add was huge. So that's a big win for Everton. Yeah. Really, really big win.
Yeah, and especially when goal difference could be a thing as well, So
absolutely,
when you're down there, Lazio 3-1 up against Napoli in the Coppa Italia. There we go. Man City getting back to winning ways. We kind of expected this to happen. We know Forest have had a good start to the season and stuff, but they've kind of dropped off a little bit, to say the least. But Man City bouncing back. The key guys getting on the score sheet as well.
I think Forest, like Everton, are a team that build their success on clean sheets. And when they go and ship 2 or 3, they find it very difficult. If you look at the games that they've won them 1-0 or 2-1. They've nicked games. And we've spoken about, obviously, the back 4, Milenkovic and Murillo and Matt Sells and stuff like that, having huge seasons. So, again, Chris Wood's been doing well, scoring the goals. But behind Chris Wood, like, Elanga's been quiet, Hudson Odoi has been quiet, Gibbs White's been quiet. So they've really built their success on a very strong back 4 and a tidy goalkeeping unit and stuff like that,
Then 3-3 Newcastle versus Liverpool. Liverpool, I thought, were very lucky to get out of there with a point. I know they were 3-2 up in the 90th minute, and they coughed it up a little bit, but it doesn't really tell the story of the game.
No.
Salah again was immense last night. I still can't understand the delay in just getting that contract situation sorted, but I believe it's progressing anyway, which is good news.
I saw bits and pieces of it. I thought, you're right. I thought there was a couple of, I thought tactically, you got stuff wrong from the start. I thought playing Quanta as the right back was a really, really poor decision. And left them very, very much exposed against Anthony Gordon. I think when Gomez went off and Quanta went into the centre, you looked a much better team.
Well, yeah, Trent pulling the strings as well, who's but
it just brings you so much more balance as well. Yeah. Why he didn't decide to play Gomez right back and Quanta as the centre back, I don't know.
I think it was the way it finished. It was the way it finished in the City game. And when Quanta came on at right back, he looked good actually in the City game. But I mean, it's horses for horses.
I didn't think it was a great idea. I thought Newcastle were very unlucky. I think, again, shines another light on Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak, 2 outstanding footballers. I thought they were both excellent last night. Isak's goal is terrific. It really is. He's taken it so well. But Salah really stood up again last night for Liverpool. I had him captain in fantasy football. He had a terrific night for me. Obviously, 2 goals and an assist.
He's on a mission this season, isn't he? He's on a mission.
He is. He's been phenomenal. Now, listen, this could work 2 ways. Is this mission part of I'll show Liverpool what they're going to miss out on? Or, it's hard to know.
It feels, between pulling off the jersey and all and stuff like that, it feels as if he's trying to convince Liverpool that 32 or 33 isn't a problem for him. He's still peak. Yeah. And I think that's kind of where it's coming from. I think he's expressed his desire that he wants to stay. And he's even willing, he's not necessarily looking for the 3 years. He might look for 2 with an option or something, And I just think they need to get it done, because you're looking on the face of it, even if you're going to pay him big wage, it's going to work out about 35, 40 million. What's it going to cost you to replace it? And what it does is it gives you that opportunity to go out in the market over the next year or two to bring in a suitable replacement to be an understudy to him and stuff instead of your backs to the wall trying to get someone in, you know. So I think it's really, really important that they tie it down. I think Virgil's one is progressing as well, and I think it's pretty close. So hopefully they get these over the line. What did you make of Amazon Prime last night having to come out and apologise to Slot and to Liverpool, where they did a report saying that Slot had gone into the referee's office at half time and Eddie Howe was going mad over it. But in actual fact, that hadn't happened.
I didn't say any of it.
Yeah, apparently Amazon.
I'm not gonna.
Apologize.
I didn't say any of it. We obviously travelled back yesterday, and I was fleeting in and out of sleep and stuff like that. Yeah. And so I didn't see as much of the football as I wanted last night because I was quite excited about being back in the time zone and stuff. Because obviously it's more difficult to watch when you're away.
Oh yeah.
So I was looking forward to it, but it just didn't materialise. The old jet lag started to kick in and knock the stuffing out of me, you know.
Strange thing to come out with when like clearly it didn't happen and stuff like that and stuff. So, but they did come out and apologise, and Liverpool have said and Slot that's the end of it. It's done, closed case. Don't worry about it. It's done. Move on. There's bigger things to be focusing on than that. Chelsea 5-1 against Southampton. Now this wasn't something that we were shocked at. I said it on our WhatsApp group before the game and all. I thought Chelsea would absolutely batter them. I think Southampton under Russell Martin are in serious trouble. Chelsea up to the dizzy heights of second, so rather than focusing on Southampton, let's focus on the great job that Maresca has done so far at Chelsea.
Well, I think there's a couple of things we need to mention. The first thing is, and I mentioned it to you earlier on, I actually had them -2 on the handicap. Southampton have been shipping goals, but also the team Southampton had out last night between injuries and suspensions was a really, really poor team. He went with a back five to try and shore things up. And obviously Jack Stevens does something really silly and gets sent off. Makes the game even more difficult.
Surprise.
All right.
He's our go-to boy every week.
The second sending off of the season. Absolute carnage. But I think we've got to talk about how good a job Enzo Maresca has done. We spoke about this at the start of the season. We spoke about it last season when I said I felt like there was the mouldings or the makings of a squad there. If they got someone in who could try and mould them and get them to play in a certain manner and stuff like that. And you're seeing it this season, you know. Chelsea are still without quite a few players due to injury and stuff like that. And they've still got quality everywhere. Like there's good footballers at Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of additions needed to the squad. But I think they'll now go into a market and look at it and say, okay, we're more comfortable giving money to this guy now because he's proved what we want him to do, as opposed to previously where, you know, they were buying players for coaches and for systems that weren't necessarily tried and tested, let's say.
Yeah, I think their transfer market in January as well, if they wanted to push on and potentially, you know, elevate themselves potentially into a title race this year. It can be more specific for them. Maybe one or two little additions and quite focused on where they need to go, and maybe a little bit more experience, maybe or something like that, you know. But certainly they look really, really good at the moment, and they've shocked me because I thought it would take Maresca. I thought it would take at least till November or December for him to find his feet in the Premier League after coming up from the Championship and stuff like that. But he's done an outstanding job. He's quite direct with the players. He doesn't take shit.
He really controls the dressing room like a manager or a coach should. You know, and I also think, and I know we have hey Philip, I know a lot of people have words on this as well. I think, you know, taking Todd Bowley out of that situation has helped massively. And him not being around the place as much, or not being, you know, in dugouts and dressing rooms, in hallways, not visiting. There was obviously a conversation had when Maresca came in. He said, listen, I'll be your coach. I look after the team for you. But if you want me to look after the team, you need to allow me to look after the team and let me do my job. And don't try and get involved in things that are on my side of the fence type thing. And you know, if that's what's happened and Bowley stood back and said, I'm going to let the manager manage, that's great because it's having a huge effect on Chelsea. They've been phenomenal.
Yeah, there was a little bit of interference, wasn't there, at the start of the season with your man Igbali as well, and he's being pushed out of the way now. Now, obviously, if you're winning games and you're doing well and stuff like that, there's no reason for the boys to get involved.
100%.
So that's probably been a huge factor as well. They have some great talent there and stuff like that and all. And
They sure do.
It'll be very interesting to see now. January for me is going to be quite exciting. Could be a window where teams really go and look to push on and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty cool. Ryan,
I think there's a number of teams that if they were to add one or two in certain areas could catapult themselves into a Champions League conversation. And I think that's what a lot of I mean, if we're looking at it now, we'd have to think it's Liverpool's league to lose. So with that in mind, you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, City, Villa, Spurs, United, Brighton looking for one of the three spots that remain.
I'll tell you Saturday at 2:30 if it's Liverpool still lose, because if that Merseyside derby doesn't go well, all of a sudden if the boys win, the gap then is what? 4.
No, the gap would still be 5.
No, before if we lose and Chelsea win, the gap is 7.
I don't think you'll lose. I think you might draw.
I'm just saying if it doesn't go, because we've seen last season what happened. So, and obviously this being the last one of Goodison, the crowd are going to be absolutely
ferocious. Yeah,
I mean? And it's all that and all. Ryan's
up to Liverpool to silence that crowd.
Absolutely, 100%. Chelsea fixtures are all winnable. Yeah, Chelsea are playing good football. And Liverpool destroy everything.
I was going to say, all fixtures are winnable when you're playing as well as Chelsea.
When you're winning, yeah.
When you're playing as well as Chelsea are, it's been very good,
Yeah, let's talk about yourselves last night then. 2-0 to Arsenal. A lot of people coming out and complaining about the tactics and giving out about scoring off corners. And I was quite shocked as well because Gabriel wasn't playing. But Saka's delivery into the box is a thing of beauty, isn't it?
Come in, hang on, hit it. Oh, Spurs have just scored. Now hang on, is the flag up? Son has just come off the bench and scored to make it 1-1, and the lineout's put his flag up now. Ball comes to Solanke. Solanke pops it out wide. Son is offside when Kulusevski hits the shot, which Kepa spills, by the way, and he spills it into the path of Son, and Son knocks in the rebound, but he's rightly called offside. Yeah, correct, Ryan. Correct.
Yeah, Ryan saying last night was a disgrace.
If you're Wolves, I think, going to Everton, it's a game you're probably looking to be involved in anyway. And 4-0, is a really tough night at the office. That's something that a lot of people spoke about today. If you want to go back to that comment,
Jerry's,
yeah, and I heard this a lot today on forums and on stuff like that. That actually, defensively in the game, United were very, very good, and there was a lot of pluses, and the system seemed to work really, really well. Now, the issues arose from the corner kicks and from them not able to apply enough pressure higher up the pitch when they had the ball. But, again, it was spoken about that, Spurs should have scored there. That was Madison. That it was, although it was a defeat, it was still a step in the right direction if you looked at the game and you watched how it unfolded and you watch what Arsenal had to do to go and get the win, Yeah. Like if that had been 4 or 5 weeks ago, it may have been a very, very different game, a lot more of an open game where, it could have got pulled apart a little bit. But it even seems like even with a couple of games under that belt, Amarin has been able to build a little more shape into the side in what he wants. I think last night huge as well, getting the boy Lenny Yoro on the pitch. I thought he looked good when he came on. Martinez was obviously out because of suspension. So I mean, you're at a case where possibly at the weekend you're going to have Martinez and Yoro either side of the licht, which would be a really, really solid back three for us.
it was mad, the reaction to the corners, wasn't it? In general, people going mad over it and stuff like that. And I was thinking, we're on this show every week talking about how we would look more goals from set pieces and corners. And it's like, then Arsenal go and do it, and they've kind of nearly perfected it. Nearly when they get a corner, it's nearly like a free hit at times. Especially with Gabriel, if Gabriel's in the side, because his movement on corners is just
haven't they spoken about it now where teams have got to start putting the ball out for throw-ins when they're playing Arsenal? Because if they're putting the balls out for corners, it's just a huge application of pressure on their defenders and stuff like that. With how good Arsenal are defensively, and then in that set piece, they've obviously got a set piece coach who was doing a fabulous job for them. Really is.
Yeah.
Came in from City with Arteta, but is really proving his worth with what he's doing there.
Yeah, Ben Davis gone off injured, Pedro Porro coming on, and Irazabal, I think, got a yellow card for. So there you go, up to date on that. Yeah, and then we round out Villa 3, Brentford 1. Villa, big win for Villa, needed as well. They were on a slide.
They were a little bit, yeah. Now Villa have a couple of injuries as well and stuff like that, but Unai Emery won't want to see Villa drift too far down the league table, because he'll be one of those managers that when you get to February, March, he'll be looking at that saying, there's our target. We got to hit that target. We got to reach that, that mark, that level. We know he's a tough taskmaster, so I expect Villa in the second half of the season to kick on in Champions League and to see an improvement in the league position as well,
Yeah, Ruben Amorim lost his first game as United manager, but that's the nature of the beast. Hopefully they can bounce back from it. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Do you know what I did notice last night? Okay, you lost the game. He ain't happy losing the game. Not at all happy losing the game.
No.
That's what you want to see, isn't it? It's not like, well, we're trying to work out things here and figure out stuff and all. Guy still wants to win. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing to see,
He looked hurt. He looked wounded.
Yeah. I think, the one that was the worst? The worst was the one where Rashford put the ball out for the corner and then they scored, I think. Remember, he was trying to get it up to clear it.
He was trying to keep it up and
he kicked it out. And I seen Amorim down on his hunkers, just rubbing his head like this, going, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean?
And then they score from it and you're going, how can I legislate for this shit?
The goal compounds it, But if
the header, by the way, the Thomas Partey header, hits Saliba on the backside as well.
Yeah.
So you've gone from the the mistake to the ball in to the header at the back to the you're like, I can do lots, but I can't do this.
Yeah, and listen, there's only so much you can expect from Onana in that situation as well.
Listen, he's been very good. Yeah. There was no, I don't hang out on Onana last night. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely not. Right, let's talk about this before we get into the Premier League. I think that the general consensus here is Salah and Slot, isn't it?
It's where I get my votes this morning on the group chat. You put it up earlier on, and I said Salah and Slot for me.
Yeah. Isn't it mad that, obviously you see Ryan in the chat here now and stuff like that Gary O'Neill could be on the cusp of getting fired, and yet he's up for manager of the month for November. Isn't it weird?
Yeah, I think it's very, very easy, and we talk about it all the time in the league, to go from zero to hero and vice versa. What's the term they use downstairs in the house here? Eating bread is soon forgotten.
Eating bread is soon forgotten, yeah. Little apples growing big trees.
Yeah, and that seems to be the nature of the beast, doesn't it, really? Which is unfortunate because, as we've said before, I don't think somebody necessarily becomes a bad manager overnight, or, I think you get some results and stuff like that, and then there's other times when you don't get the results. But I think to go from manager of the month to being, am I getting sacked now is tough. That's real tough.
Yeah, I think when you're struggling, it's your last result is the one that hinges on it, isn't it, really? When you're down there struggling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if that was kind of mid-table and it was kind of rosy enough, you'd pass that off and you go, right, that's a bad day at the office. Let's refocus and get ready for the next one. kind of thing. But yeah, I think that the consensus is Slot and Salah, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, interesting. We shall see. We shall see. Right, let's get into the weekend. Let's have a chat. We start off 12:30 start. Everton versus Liverpool, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison.
Oh, Bournemouth have just hit the post to go 2-0 up. Is it Christie? Nice little 1-2 on the edge of the box. Evan Nilsson and Christie. Christie gets it, drives in on the goal, and drags it with his right foot across the keeper, and he's hit the outside of the post. He's back on the ball as well, by the way.
Christie's footwork is so good,
hang on. Really good. He's back on the ball. He's played the ball. They nicked it from the kick out. He's given it down the line to Evan Nilsson, and a nice little outside of the foot pass, and Evan Nilsson goes to play across the keeper, and as he does, Dragusin comes and just puts the challenge in. Spurs under a bit of pressure here. If they concede again, I'd say you could be looking at good night, Irene.
I tell you, Evan Nilsson, that's a player that teams are going to be looking at, aren't they?
Yeah, very tidy.
Absolutely.
Very, very tidy.
Right, let's kick off. Last Merseyside derby at Goodison. Everton versus Liverpool. What you thinking on this? You expect Liverpool to fix up after last night?
Well, I have, and you'll notice it in my bet later on. I have Liverpool about to score. But having said that, at that stage, I hadn't figured it was the last derby at Goodison Park.
You hadn't factored in the emotion.
I hadn't factored in the emotion, and I think that adds to it. I really do. I think that adds to the pot. I think that makes it a tougher game than it already is going to be, and I thought it would be a tough game. I thought just might nick it 2-1. I'll stick with it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Everton get a draw of it and just send the fans home happy one last time.
Interesting. I'm hoping for a bounce back like what happened with the Forest game, because it was a poor performance last night until that second half where we kind of came alive, but still we never really looked comfortable, if you like. Aston Villa versus Southampton. It's a Villa win all day, isn't it?
This is going to be how many, not how.
Yeah. This is set up for Duran.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Duran start the game. And you know, last night, if we look at Chelsea, they left Nicholas Jackson out to get him his game time. And they gave the game time to Nkunku with a good game, goal and assist and stuff like that. Wouldn't be surprised to see Villa do it either with Ollie Watkins and see Duran come in and possibly get a goal. But yeah, I think this is Villa maybe 3-0 Villa. Yeah,
at least I'd say.
I think so.
Ryan is saying Craig Dawson is Everton's top scorer, he read. Brentford versus Newcastle.
Yeah, we know it's never easy to go to the that community stadium there at Brentford. Tough place to go. They'll be on the back of a tough night at the office at Villa Park. Newcastle on a great performance, but I find sometimes at Newcastle you get a performance like the other night, and then there's a little bit of a lull. There's a little drop.
Jacqueline Hyde, isn't it?
A little bit. So I'm actually gonna go Brentford here, and I'm gonna go Brentford 2-1.
And
that's gonna be kind of my surprise, if you would call it, the weekend.
Yeah, tough one this game. Brentford score goals galore at home. Yeah, I
sure do. That's right.
I think so. And yeah, that Newcastle defence, and it's hard for me to come on now and say it ain't all that. Obviously, what we did last night.
But that doesn't change whether it is or it isn't. You know, if you go into a bad night at the office, that's different. But that doesn't mean the boys are watertight at the back, and we know that's not the case. You know, so yeah.
Palace versus City. Could we see the champions have a slight other wobble? Palace kind of a bit of a bogey side for them.
Palace can be a bogey side for them. I don't think they love going to Selhurst Park. Nobody does. We know the pitch isn't great. And Palace are just starting to turn the corner slightly. We haven't seen the kind of incline that we would have wanted. But obviously getting Eze back on the pitch, Mateta scoring goals, and then shoring things up a little bit more at the back. I see they've gone with a back three a little bit now. The boy Lacroix has played as the centre back, and he's been flanked by Gahey and Chalobah and stuff like that. So they're starting to look a little bit more like they did last season. Palace, Dean Henderson had a good game as well midweek, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Palace put in some sort of performance, but maybe just see City nick them over the line. So I'm going to go 2-1 City. But tough day at the office.
Bournemouth have just made it 2-0. Your boy Evan Nielsen has just scored.
They must nick this from the corner kick or from the goal kick, and they have it. Oh my God, that's terrible. This may not stand up. Spurs played a short goal kick, which is getting teams in trouble all season. They played a short goal kick, and they play it to Fraser Foster. Foster takes a touch and he goes to play it to the D. He plays it to the D where the Spurs player is coming to receive the ball, and as he does, one of the Bournemouth lads presses him. Now, who's he go to give it on the D? It's Kulishevsky.
There's a goal. It's under review here at the moment as well.
It's not going to stand, I don't think. And the reason I don't think it'll stand is the ball comes out to the boy, one of the Bournemouth lads, and he gets in one-on-one with Foster. And I think if he scores clean, we're all right. But he doesn't score clean. And what happens is when he hits it, it rebounds off Foster, hits the Bournemouth player in the head and falls in front of Evan Nielsen. Yeah, because Evan Nielsen is ahead of it, he's offside.
Yeah, that was overturned.
Really unfortunate. And if he scores, I'm trying to see who it was. I'm trying to see it's the 12. Let me just have a little look here.
Evan Nielsen was offside.
It's Tyler Adams who wins the ball. Adams goes in with Kulishevsky to win the ball. He nicks it off Kulishevsky and ends up one-on-one with the keeper. And he hits it. Now, if he scores, it's a goal. But when he hits it, it's Foster saves it, and it comes back off Adams and rebounds into the path of Evan Nielsen, who's ahead of him.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so he doesn't try and pass on the ball. It deflects off him, but he's in an offside position. Because he was the one that had pressed Foster. So off the hook a little bit there, Spurs, playing out from the back and being caught off guard really, really poorly. They were lucky to get away with that there.
They seem to be on the up as well, Bournemouth as well. They seem to be doing all the attacking at the minute as well.
They are. Spurs had a period in the second half there where you're really starting to dominate and you're seeing, Bournemouth a little bit under the cosh. But then Andoni Iraola's that they're making a couple of substitutions there, and all of a sudden, Bournemouth are about 10 steps further up the pitch, a little bit higher, there's a little more energy. They're getting about the place. So he's doing his work here, Iraola, doing a real good job here.
And we know that Spurs don't necessarily like being turned. They don't play very well when they're turned, and they're suffocated and under pressure. So good job by Bournemouth so far. Any concerns about Ange? The way Spurs' this season is going, they've been very indifferent, haven't they?
Yeah, I think if you look at the table, they're not a million miles away from where they would want to be. They're probably a win and a half away from being where they would want themselves to be,
Yeah.
But
some of the performances have been poor, haven't they?
Yeah, I think you're still seeing guys kind of bed in at Spurs, and when Spurs have their first 11 out and get poor, and they can be anybody. They can really can. We've seen them turn over us and City 3-4-0. But then you see them go out on days like today, and they're away at Bournemouth, and it looks a bit difficult at getting themselves up for this big game.
They don't fancy it, isn't it? They don't fancy it, kind of thing. Yeah,
they don't seem to want the dogfight. And if somebody doesn't want a dogfight, you make them fight like a dog.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you going for, Palace and City?
I'm going to go City 2-1.
City 2-1. United Forest.
Yeah, I do expect us to get back on the road here. Hit that. Oh, unlucky. Should be up again. Should be 2-0 up. Tavernier. Evan Nielsen nicks the ball. Breaks the Semenyo. He plays it across the box to Tavernier. Tavernier lets him fly from 20-odd yards and just tugs it wide of the post. Good evening, Tedward. I do expect United to win. I do. I think when we go back to Old Trafford, we're always better. I think, Forest will be a little bit wounded after the other night, so they'll try and keep things tight. But I think as soon as we get a goal, and I do think we'll score, I think as soon as we score and they have to come out and play, we'll be able to pick them off on the counter.
Like what we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
like what we spoke about earlier. Yeah, absolutely. Right, into Sunday, Fulham versus Arsenal. Good evening. How are we? Good evening.
Great win for Fulham tonight. Obviously 3-1. 3-1 at home against Brighton. That's a great win for them. They'll be buoyed by that. Arsenal, though, won't make it easy for them. The Cottage isn't an easy place to go. I think this could be another one of the banana skins of the weekend. And I'm going to say this is Fulham and Arsenal 1-1.
Christie coming off, Lewis Cook going on. You think this is going to be 1-1? Interesting.
I think it's going to be 1-1. I think a lot of ex-Arsenal lads in that Fulham team, obviously Leno, Iwobi, Reece Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe.
ASR will want to put on a show, won't he?
I think so. And I think also, I think it won't suit them. I think after the win midweek, they'll be going to Cottage now. They'll probably still be without a couple of lads. Fulham will rough them up. They'll make it difficult.
Physical,
I just think we might see a 1-1 here.
Interesting. Good show. Ipswich versus Bournemouth.
Yeah, I suppose this is definitely a game Ipswich will look at and think these are the kinds of games we need to be winning at home if we want to stay in the division. Got to say, a couple of players that really impressed me. Obviously, we spoke earlier about the boy Liam Delap. I think he's been phenomenal, and probably should have scored a couple more than he has already. But I know the vultures are circling. There's a lot of teams. I believe Spurs, City have a buyback clause. Chelsea and United are all looking at this kid already.
City in January could do worse than to bring that boy back, couldn't they?
Absolutely. But I mean, listen, here's the thing. He's now proved himself. He's now proved himself, and he proved he can do it in the league. So all of a sudden, it makes that a much easier decision. If you have an option on it to bring them back for 30 million and he can go in and be Haaland's understudy and give Haaland a break. Because again, as much as we say he doesn't do a whole lot, Haaland looks tired. He looks like a guy who's tired.
There's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, and whether there's a lot going on off the pitch as well. Because I know, when you look at somebody like a Haaland, he's, the sponsors want to clamber around him and he's extremely marketable and stuff like that. But the stuff that goes on off the pitch can take its toll on you as well. And we've seen that happen before,
Yeah, well, it doesn't help when your manager's there nearly peeling the mush off himself and all and everything else, and you can feel the pressure. You know what I mean? And the court case is going on in the background as well. God knows what's going to come out of that,
Yeah.
So there's a lot there at the moment going on. What are you going for this one? Ipswich Bournemouth? I'm thinking Bournemouth win here.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is they beat City a few weeks ago. And we thought we were going to kind of see them kick on. They went away in the next lane in Leicester and got torn apart. So you're looking at it saying, well, if they beat Spurs tonight, if they manage to get over the line here, is this another that they've beat one of the big teams at home, then they've gone away and lost to somebody in the lot, and you end up kind of back on level pegging with where you should have been. So, it's a tough one. I think I'll just go Bournemouth 2-1. But
yeah, I think
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ipswich get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Double change for Spurs. James Maddison and he's Basuma going off. Lucas Bergvall and Timo Werner going on.
Straight away, Bournemouth on the attack again. It's mad, isn't it?
10 minutes plus at a time. Ange does not look happy on the sideline here, I have to tell you now.
Tavernier with a shot off target. Wow. Easy City victory against Palace. I wouldn't say easy.
No, neither would I now, I have to say.
But I don't think there is an easy Palace win against Palace. Is that generally? You're not going to come over unscathed, and it's going to be a tough day at the office. Keith, I think City and Arsenal will slip up this weekend. Palace are City's bogey team. Fulham are a very hard team to beat at the Cottage. With that small pitch, it won't be easy. Yeah,
think Tavernier should have done better there with that.
Absolutely.
It's great work from the boy Semenyo down the right-hand side. Dropped the shoulder, little step over on Bergvall, gets to the line, cuts it back. And on a half volley, Tavernier's about 8 yards out and he skies it over the crossbar. That should be game-setting match.
10 minutes ago, you feel Bournemouth need to get a second, don't you? Or they could regret it.
Absolutely.
Could be something in this for Spurs.
Absolutely.
Leicester versus Brighton.
Yeah, this will be a big game, obviously. You know, Van Nistelrooy again looking to kind of pour a bit more misery on Hersler after tonight. Brighton don't like losing games, and they'll come back out with their tails up and they look to go again. But I think that could be a bad move if they come out and try and blitz Leicester, because I think the way Van Nistelrooy set them up the other night, they were looking to play on the counter attack and they were looking to create space in behind and stuff like that. And you see, that's going to be how they do things at Leicester now under Van Nistelrooy. It's going to be very high energy. They're going to try and work their socks off and create as many chances as they can. Because I think the more you create, the more likely you score. And I think that could be a tough day at the office for Brighton again. I'm going to go Leicester. I'm going to go Leicester 2-1.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's something about. I don't know. I just don't fit with Leicester. I know, like, obviously Rude's gone in there and stuff like that, but defensively as well, I'm not too sure on them, you know. And I think Brighton, there's a bit of quality there. Matoma's finding
the boy.
And all, and,
the boy. I spoke about him a few weeks ago. The boy Hermanson, the Leicester keeper, is phenomenal. Mads Hermanson, he is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. If Leicester get relegated, he will 110% be kept in the Premier League. 110% he'll be kept in the Premier League. He's top drawer.
Chelsea could add to their total of keepers.
Well, they don't need to, because again, another hit it, finish it. Oh God, hit it again. Oh God, how's he missed that? Dango Quattara should make it 2. I think you're right, Keith. I think Southampton are down. I think Leicester will be in with a fighting chance now under Van Nistelrooy. I think they'll be in the shake up to stay up. I think Maresca made a big bold move last night, and the 2 moves he made where he took out Jackson and he took out Sanchez, and he played the boy Jorgensen in goal, and he gave Nkunku a start, and Nkunku got a goal and assist, and Jorgensen had a really good game for Chelsea last night as well. Now, he didn't have as much to do as maybe you might have thought, but he had a good game. He's got in there now. I expect him to keep Sanchez out of the team, to be honest with you.
He's the better keeper.
He's a much better keeper.
He's
a much better keeper. Yeah. Comfortably is the word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a debate. Like,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. Spurs Chelsea.
Yeah, you know, it's weird because I'm looking at Spurs at the minute and I'm thinking, Jesus, they don't look great. Yeah. But I also know they could turn up on Sunday
and just beat Chelsea after losing to Bournemouth. Yeah.
And just beat Chelsea and just be a much better team. And obviously, you know, you'll see Porro start, and you'll see him start Son, and you'll see him start Solanke, and you'll see him start Johnson.
His strongest 11.
Yeah. And I think that'll give Spurs a much better chance. And, you know, we know they're good at home. They can blitz teams at times. I think we might see a draw on Sunday.
Interesting.
I think we might see a draw, but I think there'll be goals in it. And I think we'll say 2-2.
2-2. Desmond. There we go.
There you go.
And then we rounded out Monday, West Ham versus Wolves. This is the P45 Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the one obviously we've spoken about earlier, El Sacico, as they call it. You know, I fully expect 3 p.m. on Wednesday, all right?
Don't mind the 3 p.m. That's the US.
No problem. I was looking at that thinking, okay.
It's snuck in there.
I thought it might be a bank holiday, but there's none in December, I don't think.
I wish.
No, I expect West Ham to get over the line here. Unfortunately, Ryan, I expect West Ham to get over the line just because they're at home. And I think West Ham have a better squad at the minute. You know, but I think O'Neill's doing a decent job at what you have. And I don't think sacking him is going to help the situation. I think it's actually going to make it worse. So I would stick with Gary O'Neill. And I'd back him. That's what I do. But I'm going to go West Ham 2-1.
Okay, that rounds it out.
Yeah.
Right. So I did say I wanted to touch on Goodison. And I'll probably mention I'll be doing a preview tomorrow for the Merseyside Derby as well, so I'll touch on it then as well. But there's a lot of stuff in here to unpack, you know. I'll run down through it anyway. Goodison Park, the first major football stadium to be built in England, was opened in 1892. Goodison Park had staged more top-flight football games than any other ground in the United Kingdom and was the only English club ground to host a semi-final at the 1966 FIFA World Cup, and I think they've held an FA Cup final there as well, if I'm right, from what I can remember. They were the first club as well. There's a lot of firsts for this Everton, for this Goodison Park, you know, it's really important. They constructed the first ever covered dugouts in 1931. The idea was inspired by a visit to Pittodrie to play a friendly against Aberdeen, where such dugouts had been constructed at the behest of the Dons trainer, Donald Coleman. The Goodison dugouts were the first in England. They put in the first undersoil heat. And I was looking at some of this stuff. I was looking at the history of Goodison today, and like they redid stands and all, and it was like 50 grand. They did this undersoil heating, the first one, 30 kilometers of electric wire laid beneath the surface, £16,000. You know what I mean? £16,000 wouldn't even get you the engineering consultancy on that these days. Mad how times have changed. But he said the system was more effective than anticipated, and the drainage system couldn't cope with it. So they had to relay the pitch again to allow for better drainage and stuff like that, because the undersoil heat was too good. Mad, isn't it? Relayed in 1960. Everton were the first club to have a scoreboard installed in England. On the 20th of November 1971, Everton beat Southampton 8-0 with Joe Royle, of course. Joe Royle was the manager as well. What a baller, Joe
FA
Royle.
Cup winning manager Joe Royle. Beat us in the final, didn't he? 1-0, Paul Rideau.
Yeah, scoring 4, David Johnson 3, and Alan Ball 1. The scoreboard did not have enough room to display the goal scorers' names and simply read 7979897. They just put up the numbers instead of the names.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. There's some really cool stuff in there, and there's a lot of other stuff as well. You know what I mean? So, but I think it's important that it marked. I think Everton have such a rich history in football down through
absolutely
the history of it, basically, and I think Goodison is a big part of that as well. And it's kind of like it'll feel weird, you know what I mean? But the new stadium now looks phenomenal. It really does looks phenomenal.
I gotta say, I never ever thought I'd look at Everton with envy. That was until I saw the new stadium and I thought, I tip my hat to you, sir.
Yeah.
That is just, it's a great piece of architecture. It's in a great location on Bramley Moor Dock there. And it's gonna be home for Everton for the next 100 years, more than likely. And it's a phenomenal job that they've done. I think it's obviously going to be really, really important that they secure Premier League football, and with the points deduction and stuff, that was made a bit harder. But Sean Dyche and the lads are doing a really good job to make sure that sticks. I think it's important. Dyche is also given a season there as well, after everything he's done, to keep Everton, you know, where they want to be and stuff like that.
Do you see it happen? Do you see it happening though?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. And and you know what I think is really important as well. And you know the stuff that's going to tie things together. You know, like I watch football, and I watch all football, and certain things just stick out. You know, and one of the things that sticks out is that Z cars. You know, as they come onto the pitch at Goodison.
Yeah.
And the music kicks off and stuff like that. And I can't wait to see that next season at Bramley Moor. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see Everton come down that tunnel to that Z Cars tune and to just drag it all back together. You know, it'll be very cool.
It's gonna feel so weird though, isn't it? Because we're so like Goodison is just
absolutely
Goodison, Anfield, just across each other from Stanley
Well,
Park.
I mean, we've been there with the likes of a West Ham as well.
Yeah.
You know, where we saw Upton Park or the bowling ground, whatever you want to call it, where you saw that, you know, and we've been there with Highbury, with Arsenal. Obviously slightly different with City and Main Road, you know, because
obviously,
you know, but still, and Spurs at the Lane, like this is the fifth or sixth big team we've seen move. I think, you know, You've obviously got Chelsea are still at the bridge. You boys are still at Anfield. We're still at Old Trafford. But how long is it before those moves happen as well?
God, can you imagine a scenario in the next, say, 15, 20 years where, well, I mean, you'd be basically moving to a new Old Trafford, wouldn't you? You're going to be like 200 yards away, basically, or whatever it is. So it wouldn't be,
Possibly.
potentially anyway. You might give away naming rights to get a load of millions in or something, but in general, it'll still be Old Trafford. But yeah, no, it just feels weird that this is the last. Like, it's like when I talk about Everton when they're in a relegation battle. And I talk about this could be the last Merseyside derby for God knows how long, you know what I mean? Because we've seen what happened with Leeds and stuff. Big up next level. The game at Goodison on Saturday will be rough. If Liverpool can manage and control the game, we win, no doubt about that. And that's key, isn't it? And that's what we didn't do last night. So that's what we do need to do. Daz is in as well. Big up, Daz. Hope you're good, my friend.
Hey, Daz. The one thing, and I know we spoke about this a number of times, I think if we looked at the Liverpool game last night, I thought Bruno Guimaraes was super in midfield for Newcastle. I thought if there's ever a guy who's playing above the level he's at, he's that guy. We've talked about it previously. Obviously, he was linked with Real Madrid, and he was linked with Man City, and he's been linked with a lot of big clubs. He's a super footballer, this guy. A really super footballer. The longer Newcastle can hang on to him, obviously, the better. But how long more can they do it? I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff, contractual talk going on at the moment as well, isn't there? Isaac apparently not happy either and kind of wants out. He's not interested in talks of a new contract and stuff like that. So who knows, you know? Do
you get a penalty for that? There's a block come in here from Lucas Bergvall. He turned his back on the ball. The ball's hit him square in the elbow.
If his arm's like that, he's okay. They got away with it. Newcastle was the same last night.
He's done this and turned, and the elbow's tucked in, but it's hit him right. Yeah. Now, it's possibly going in as well, by the way.
Yeah, no, Newcastle was the same last night. Your man took his arm in like that and hit his elbow. No, it wasn't even
93rd minute at the minute.
Yeah.
93rd minute. Bournemouth still pushing for that second. Spurs trying to play on the counter to try and nick something here and get a draw.
Yeah, huge 3 points for Bournemouth. Huge. Yeah, right. Let's get into beat the bookie. Few bets. Or do you want to? Yeah. What's the 6 minutes? 3 minutes to go. 2.5 minutes to go.
About 2.5. Spurs had a really good move down the right hand side there, and Porro just put it down the outside and he let Kulusevski go onto it. Kulusevski went over, dropped the shoulder and tucked in onto the left foot and put a lovely ball in. And Solanke was coming across the 6-yard box, and the boy Huysen, who scored the goal, actually did very, very well. He's going to get man of the match here as well, because obviously he's playing centre back for them. They look like they're possibly going to keep a clean sheet, and the kid's got the winner, so he's had a good night at the office.
Yeah, I next level. I think there is potentially a chance. We do like a January transfer. I'm sure they're looking at stuff already, but I think what it will do is it will hinge on the contract renewals, because if they go in with the contract renewals and get them over the line, and depending on what happens with Trent as well, they will use that as an excuse that's where the budget kind of went like they normally do. But I think I'm still concerned about left back. I'm not too sold on Robbo at the moment. I think he's playing well and stuff like that at the moment, but I think he's just kind of a little bit.
I don't think he's playing well.
He's the last couple of games now. He's played well.
I think he's been really, really poor now. I have to say.
No, he was poor up until I'd say before the Real game, but since the Real game, the City game, and last night, obviously he struggled a little bit. But I think we need to bring in a left back. I
think when I'm an opposition player or manager, and I look at the Liverpool team and how it's laid out and tactically and everything, there's a big red circle around that left back slot.
Yeah, that right side for the attacking team. Yeah,
and that's where we need to get at.
Yeah,
in order to get into this game, and he is there for the taking slightly. The legs look like they've gone a little bit to me.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to have. He was never a guy blessed with speed, but he always got himself in good positions. Whereas now, I think he's working so hard to try and stay in the position maybe at times the concentration is gone, and then the legs are gone, and then now I'm goosed completely. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, Costas obviously is out injured at the moment as well, so that's a big one for us as well.
There's a guy on the pitch here at the minute that you're apparently linked to, which is the boy Milos Kurzic.
Yeah.
Doing a really, really good job here for Bournemouth in the left back slot. Doing really, really well. And he's a guy who looks very comfortable going both ways. He's good defensively, but he's also very good in the ball, and he wants to try and push forward and be involved in the attacks and the build-up and stuff like that, which is something I'm sure Arnie Slot will look for.
We inquired all right, but they're looking for a lot of money from.
And the full-time whistle at the Vitality has gone.
Yeah.
Bournemouth 1, Spurs 0. Another big win for Andoni Iraola, a guy I really, really like. Really, really like this guy. Another big win for Bournemouth. Well done.
Yeah. Huge 3 points.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into our bets to round it out.
Let's. I've just done the 2.
Kerkez will come to Liverpool in the summer, I think. I don't know. I like him a lot, but I think for me it's the boy off Fulham I'd love. That's who I'd be
Are you not a Riyad Nuri fan?
Him as well, absolutely. But I think if I had a choice of the 3, I'd probably go for Anthony Robinson. He's my choice. I think he's a bit more. I think Nuri is a bit more physical. I think Robinson's a bit more dynamic in the way that he plays. So that's for me.
Yeah, he's foot to the pedal. He's foot to the pedal,
yeah.
And that kind of fits in with what you would want. I think. I don't think, to be honest with you, you could go wrong, and I need to trade him. You know, if someone said to you,
"We've enough of those,"
I think if someone said to you, "Put them in order, 1 to 3, but we'll guarantee you we'll get one of them," you'd say, "That's all right. I'll take any of them." Actually,
yeah, I wouldn't be upset with that either of the 3. But if it's my choice, I'm sitting around the table. I'm probably favouring Anthony Robinson. I just think I just even when he's at full pelt and at full speed, he's still so controlled in the way he manages the ball. Doesn't give it up much. Always finds a pass. Really, really dangerous out there as well. And if you decide there, think about it there. If you've got Robinson there, you'd have McAllister, you'd have Diaz. That's a lovely pivot there on that left-hand side. You know, so
yeah, I think it brings a bit of balance, you know, and I think that's something that's needed as well.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Right, give us your bets.
I've only done the 2 this week.
Which one did you start?
I'm gonna start with my I didn't do I didn't do to score assist. I just went straight goal scorer this week. So my goal scorer bet, it's not a huge bet. It's 20 to 1, 4 goal scorers, but 4 guys I think all have a great chance of getting on the score sheet at the weekend, which is Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
In great form at the minute. Ollie Watkins, home against Southampton. They ship goals.
And I just want to tell people I didn't send this to you.
Are we 2 for 2?
We are 2 for 2. And I think we're going to be... How many did you do?
I did 4.
I think we're going to have the 4. I'd be surprised if we don't.
Well, I've got Salah and Watkins.
I'm
going with Erling Haaland.
No. I didn't do the City game.
And I'm going with Rasmus Højlund.
No. I went with... what does that pay?
20 to 1.
Yeah, the odds are awful this week. I did the score and assist, and it's like 12 to 1. It's not great. So I'd Mo Salah and Ollie Watkins, obviously. Yeah. A guy I'm kind of changing my mind about, as you well know, over the last few weeks. One Bruno Fernandes. And I rounded it out with, of course, Bukayo Saka at Arsenal. So
you're starting to appreciate now, aren't you?
Well, listen, you know, from being on the podcast with me, I'm happy to be corrected. If someone can convince me, I'm happy to be corrected.
I think, you've always said, I'm happy to be convinced. Now, I tried to convince you one day on the phone for about an hour on a trip to Rathout, if you remember. It didn't work very well.
No.
But since then, he has what you would call turned a serious corner.
Yeah. But he's do you know what I've noticed in the last 3 to 4 months? He has, even when you've been poor, he's been the guy that stood out. And that's normally a good sign that if he
always
can get
was.
yeah.
Always was.
Yeah.
And he's the guy, even when you're losing, the two things that I love about him most, he doesn't accept defeat. He doesn't like it. He doesn't enjoy it, which fits into what you said about Amaran earlier.
Yeah.
We were Amaran. And then the other thing is he constantly wants the ball. I like guys who want the ball. I don't want guys who say, give it to me now. You know, I'm in a good position, but don't give it to me now. I'm not in a great position. He's just constantly, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I think he just wants the ball all the time, which I love, because that shows a little bit of bravery, and that in itself shows a bit of character, you know?
Ted is saying you got 3 out of the 4 with Darren. Didn't go with Holland. So who did you go with, Ted? Who's your 4th?
I reckon he went Alexander Isak. That's who I think his 4th is.
Right, give us your next bet. What's your next one?
My next one, I've gone a little bananas now.
That's okay. Vardy,
okay. That's okay.
36.5 to 1. Not too bad. Not too shabby.
Well, I'm going to blow your 36.5 to 1 out of the... I'm going to blow it out of the ballpark. So I've gone Liverpool and both to score.
Okay.
I've gone Man City and both to score.
Yeah.
I've gone Man United and both to score.
Yeah.
And sorry, Ryan, I've gone West Ham and both to score.
Interesting.
96 to 1.
Mine
Liverpool,
is,
United, City and West Ham, all to win and both teams to score.
Mine's 20 to 1, which is not great odds for a result in both to score, but I did a treble.
If you've gone for 20 to 1, there can only be a couple of teams you went for.
Well, obviously, we matched on the first one, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, so you've gone Liverpool.
About to score, yeah.
Yeah. And then you've gone... United.
No.
And you've gone Arsenal.
No.
Go on, hit me.
Aston Villa against Southampton.
Think Southampton will score?
They always seem to find a goal, do they? Like, even against Chelsea, they found a goal. So it's just...
Maybe.
Maybe not so much against Villa, but remember, Mings is back in, isn't he? So he's always good for a calamity, isn't he?
Would you have paid money to see him and David James playing the same team?
Jeez, I don't know.
A back three of James, Mings, and Harry Maguire. England could have won a World Cup with that. Paralympic World Cup.
Harsh on Harry Maguire, isn't it? He's good at it on national level.
He's great when he's playing with 14 other centre-backs.
What about if we put Jack Stevens in there? Now we're homing.
Now we're in the homeless World Cup.
Yeah. And my last one actually was Brighton against Leicester. Brighton at both teams to score.
Brighton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brighton away at Leicester. So I did a card one as well. Did you? You didn't do a card one, did you? Not?
I didn't this week, just because there's a whole lot of changes being made, and there's a lot of lads that are actually working up to the suspension thing as well.
You'll recognize some of these, like 4 in there.
You have 4, which is going to pay good money for 4.
80 to 1.
I was going to say 60 to 1 minimum, right? Yeah, 80. Okay.
80 to 1.
right?
So
You give me the team, I'll give you the player.
Everton.
Michaelenko.
No.
Ashley Young on the other side.
Yep.
It was always going to be Salah or Diaz, right?
Nottingham Forest against Hughes.
If and I did look at this. There's two ways you can go here. You can go number one, middle of the park, and it'll be a dogfight, right? And if you did, you'll have gone with our boy Ryan Yates. Yeah? Or if you're like me, I was looking at the Forest left back who's going to be up against Ahmad. Because he's been sensational in that right wing back role. Now, that has at times been Nico Williams. So I was kind of looking at that thinking, you know what? That's where that could be. Like, it could be Williams. Like last night, Moreno played left back and Aina played right back, but it can chop and change now and again, and he can move someone inside or outside.
That'd be a good matchup, wouldn't it? Nico Williams versus Ahmad. That'd be interesting. Nico Williams is a footballer, like he's pacey and fast. The only thing I would say about Nico Williams is when they go on the attack, he forgets he's a defender and he just goes into the middle of nowhere and leaves it.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy. He's definitely a guy that played understudy to Trent. 100%.
Yeah.
I want you to go and watch what the right back does. He leaves a sign saying back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like
he morphs into a 10.
He really does, Nico, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And in fairness to him, sometimes he scores or he assists. And
he's got really there's a bit of talent and ability there. Like, no, I'm not gonna knock it. Right, who's next?
Fulham.
Fulham are playing Arsenal. Arsenal are you're probably looking at Saka, I don't think you'll go Robinson.
No.
I reckon you'll go Sasa Lukic.
No. Good shout, though. Good shout. I was tempted. I went with Kenny Tata.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I rounded it out with Southampton.
Now,
this is a guy you have a little bit of admiration for, but
is a little bit of admiration for?
It's a guy who you've mentioned quite a bit.
Right, is it Tyler Dibbling?
No. I think is he only back? He's only back a couple of weeks.
He was suspended last night, and if it's Flynn Downs.
I put in Flynn Downs. He's out, is he?
No, he was suspended for last night.
Suspended for last night. Yeah.
He had run up points, so I think now he's eligible again.
Yeah.
He was out last night.
So he's my fourth. He's my fourth on that 80-1. So Ashley Young, Ryan Yates, Kenny Tata, and Flynn Downs.
They had 3 of their starting 11 missing last night. All the way through the spine of that team. Flynn Downs, 5 yellow cards. Taylor Harwood Bellis, who's been playing centre back, 5 yellow cards. And Tyler Dibbling, 5 yellow cards. All suspended on the same night, and they get absolutely taken asunder. It's tough.
I meant to say as well. Did McAllister pick up a 5th booking yesterday and he misses the derby?
I'll tell you now. As if by magic, he certainly was booked after 20 minutes.
I think he misses the derby. I think.
I'll tell you how I can tell you. If I go into Premier League and I go to replace one of my midfielders, select replacement. If I go to replace him, McAllister is suspended until the 14th of December. He's out of Derby.
He's out of the Derby, yeah. I should have seen that last night. That's going to be interesting.
That'll make, listen, it won't make things overly challenging, but what'll you do? You'll play Dominic and
Dominic Curtis and Gravenberch.
And Gravenberch, yeah. Dominic on the right, Curtis on the left.
But it just kills your options if you want to change stuff up. Obviously Harvey's back, but probably not up to full speed at this stage.
Harvey wallbanger.
So, but Stephen, who do you want in? Lopetegui out, but who do you want in? Who would you want to come in? Who are you thinking if he goes? Who are you thinking comes in? A lot of talk about Mark Noble. They're saying yesterday potentially coming in.
Did Stephen not mention somebody absolutely crazy last week when we spoke about this? Not last week, the week before. And I said about Gary O'Neill, and he said that'd be worse than what we had. And I said, Stephen, you're talking crazy talk. And then he threw someone into the mixer. And I thought, wow, Stephen's going nuts on us. Who was it, Stephen? Remind me. He did mention someone. He did mention someone.
Could you see someone like a Mark Noble going in?
No, I don't think so. I think it's too big of a gig to give to a Mark Noble if he's untried and untested. I did see the prospective list of candidates.
Sergio Conceição.
And Sergio was on the list. Along with Graham Potter. Edin Terzic.
What you make of Potter? No one wants to take a roll the dice on Potter. Seems to be out of work now a long time.
Does nobody want to take the roll the dice on him, or is he being very choosy what he takes? I think it's the latter.
Well, he's linked with a lot of jobs, isn't he?
He is, but I think at times, paper doesn't refuse ink. I think it's easy to link people, and he's an easy name to link. I mean, he was linked to the United job, but, he wasn't near it, but he was linked to it.
Is he valuing himself at the Chelsea valuation? Would it be a financial thing that kills it off?
I don't necessarily think it's a financial thing, but what I do expect is, I think if he's gone to Brighton and done a stunner of a job, and he got the Chelsea gig, which was that step up on the ladder, right? Financially, it was a step up, but also for his career, it was a step up. I don't think he'll want to come back down to Brighton. I think he'll want to try to go somewhere that's above the level of Brighton, but below the level of Chelsea, just to, sandwich himself in there. And I think, at somewhere like West Ham, you could definitely be envisaging that, I think West Ham, with the squad they have, with the backing of the board, and with the stadium they have and the support they have at West Ham, I think West Ham's a huge job. I like West Ham as a football club.
I suppose the position they find themselves in at the moment are well below Brighton at the minute. That's the only thing. They
are in the league table, but I mean, I think they would still see themselves, European Cup winners in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
as a bigger club than
attractive.
Absolutely. And I would agree with that to a degree. I think Brighton have done really, really well with the recruitment, and they've become that stepping stone club where they can get players to come in and play and get the best out of them and then ship them off for big money and recycle it back through the books and do the same over and over again. So that's brilliant. But I think if you want to be as big a club as you should want to be, Brighton start turning down more bids and start saying, no, you can't have him. He's staying with us. Show some intent. Don't just be happy to take the bag and run. I think sometimes there's a little bit too much of that.
Yeah, but there's a lot there as well that needs to be sorted, isn't there? I mean, you look at the likes of, we spoke about him before, the likes of Mikel Antonio and all and stuff like that and all. It's just, I see him going off the other night and he did absolutely nothing, and the fans are clapping him off the pitch and they're going, wake up, lads. What are you looking at? Like, what are you actually looking at here?
If you're a team in the Premier League and you want to have any sort of aspirations, if you've got a striker, if you've got a secondary striker, and if you've got a striker, a number 3, Mikel Antonio shouldn't be in any 3 of those spots. None of them.
No, none of them.
You go with your Nicholas Fulkrug as your number 1. You have yourself a backup in Danny Ings, and then your number 3 striker is one of the lads from the youth or whatever he is, and you know what I mean? But Mikel Antonio doesn't get a spin for me if West Ham are where they want to be and where they should be plugging to be.
Yeah, I just think they need to cleanse themselves there.
I think
you know what I mean? And move on from guys like that.
He shows no lack of effort and work rate, but I think his level of quality is miles off where he needs to be. Fulkrug might be 32, but Fulkrug's a proven international goal scorer. You know, and Danny Ings is a good footballer. I think Danny Ings has been left out to dry a little bit at West Ham. Danny Ings probably came there expecting a bit more, and hasn't really been given the kind of game time. Yeah, I don't disagree with you on the age thing. I think certainly, you know, you'd want some youth in there. But I mean, there are good young players at West Ham. You know, Jared Bowen's not young, but he's a great young player. Somerville on the opposite side, really good player. Cute, right? Like, you know, there's a list here.
There's a lot there that can do the work that can make an Ings or a Fulkrug really successful.
Your Fulkrug and your Ings is only the cherry on top. They're the good.
I just think with Antonio, he just mopes around. He doesn't hold position. He doesn't stick to formation. He doesn't do anything. He's not a striker. He's not a winger. He spends more time in midfield. He doesn't give them an out when they're under the cosh. He doesn't give them. I don't see what he offers at all. And I've spoken about him a million times on this show. And I just, you know what I mean. It's sometimes you have to look at a player and go, give it a, just move on. You know what I mean?
And I agree with you. I agree with you. He scored 3 the weekend now, yeah?
Yeah, imagine, yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? This is what happens. But I think with the likes of Ings, if you have Ings in there and you have, you know, if you have him flanked with a Somerville and a Kudus and a Paqueta and all these type of players and stuff, he'll get you goals. Danny Ings knows how to score goals. That's the thing.
The one thing Danny Ings knows how to do is score goals. He's not great at staying fit. He probably won't work his socks off. But if you get Danny Ings a bit of service, he'll score you goals.
Here's the thing for you. Fulkrug looks like an old school centre forward, doesn't he? In the way he plays,
sure does. Do
you find a tangent there between him and Ings, where you have that old school big centre forward and him playing off him as the, you know, that Phillips Quinn kind of combination?
I think our problem is neither of them bring enough work rate, and all of a sudden then you're down to 9 men basically. And we've seen how, you know, teams struggle to play. We went to Villa Park 2 years ago. We played Ronaldo and Donny van de Beek in the same game. And we lost 3-1. We were battered. We were dire. But we were dire because we had only 9 men on the pitch. 1, because Ronaldo wouldn't run the width himself. And 2, because Donny van de Beek was shot of any kind of confidence that he had previously. So when you go in against teams like that and you're playing with 9 men, it makes life very, very difficult. And West Ham need to make sure that when they put a team out, even if you have a Fulkrug who's 32, he still gives you something. We saw in the World Cup and stuff like that, or the Euros, when he came on for Germany, he was next level. He got Germany into every game. He got them knocking on the door. He scored goals. He created havoc. He hasn't been fit generally, which has been the issue at West Ham. But I think if he gets fit, he'll play week in, week out. He'll do a serious job because we know he can score goals.
He also has a lot of quality around him in that German side as well, though, you know. A lot of quality there.
He does, but I mean, in Jared Bowen and Crescencio Somerville and Mohamed Kudus and Lucas Paqueta, he's not short of quality. No. He's not short of quality.
Definitely.
You know, they might not be Jamal Musiala, but he's not short of quality. I just
find when they're playing, though, do you ever find when you watch West Ham playing up front as well, you've got Somerville and you've got Kudus and you've got Paqueta and you've got these guys and all. But they don't tend to look for a player. They tend to want to beat a player and try and do it themselves. So there's a whole ton of shots coming in from all over the place, stuff that. But they're never looking for that eye to put a Danny Ings in, to put a Fulkrug in or something like that. They're always trying to be that guy.
There's definitely a little bit of the, you know, they're going out with 11 players rather than a team.
Yeah, especially up front when I look at them and I think, because you've all the talent of the world, pick the pass. Many times have we said it with Somerville when he breaks through to the byline, pick the pass.
And move the ball quickly, because as soon as you start moving the ball slowly, you give somebody a chance to get back in and to find some sort of shape, and then you're in trouble. But just move the ball quicker. There's a lot of teams in that league at the minute that when they're playing their build-up play, it's far too slow. You know, I I won't say a wise man, but a successful man once said, speed will beat you every time. And it will. You know, speed will beat you the problem with us, Lopetegui, is no style or tactics. I don't think that's fair, Stephen. But what I do think is, and we spoke about it myself and Niall, is that I don't think his style suits the Premier League. I think stuff he got away with in Spain at a much slower level, where you sit in and where you defend in certain phases of the game, I think it worked at that. But it's just not working in the Premier League. It's just not transferring.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, another good show. I'll be back with a video tomorrow for the Merseyside Derby, and we'll probably chat a little bit more about Goodison and the history of it and all that kind of stuff. Until next time, folks, if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button.
It's good to be back. It was good to be back.
Good to have you back as well.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
But as always, and if you are having a bet at the weekend, drop it into the comments. Let us know what you're doing. Share the knowledge if you want. And as always,
not Fabian share.
That upset me now. That upset me.
Sorry.
Kelleher and Nunes today getting vilified on social media. Shocking.
And I mean, like, whatever about Nunes getting vilified, it should never happen to Kelleher after what you've done for the last 8 weeks.
I called out my own fan base today. I said, you boys have become shallower than a kid's paddling pool. Good
Your
Lord.
man saved 3 penalties. Your man saved 3 penalties in a week. Yeah, and all of a sudden, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's just like, lads, give us a break here.
And one of them's Mbappe. Like,
Nunes, on the other hand, I think, you know, you're probably, and I'm a Nunes fan, I always have been. I think Liverpool.
He was a hero last week. He got stuck in and he made that tackle that led to the ball onto Diaz.
I think you're always kind of struggle with Nunes because of the volume and the quality of chances that he misses. You know, I think because of the volume of chances and the quality of chances that Nunes misses, it's very hard for Liverpool fans to back him, because they know he'll score a worldie this week, but he'll miss two inside the 6-yard box next week, and then all of a sudden you're back to square one. I think, and I know, I don't mind putting my old head on the block here. I know I spoke about the boy Coop Miners, and I thought he was going to be somebody that you would look at. Obviously, with Slot coming in, and he had played with him at Feyenoord and stuff. Yeah, the move to Atalanta, he's on the rise. He's not at Atalanta. He went to Atalanta, now he went to Juve, and again he's been excellent. But I think the other one is Santiago Jimenez, and he's the 9 at Feyenoord. He did phenomenal for Slot at Feyenoord. He's a really, really good footballer, this lad. And I think if there's somebody you might look at in that number 9 position, it could be him. I think there's a lot of clubs around Europe that will look for it. Now, listen, maybe you'll make the clever move and say, we're not looking at Jimenez, we're going straight for Georgas.
That'll be a battle with a lot of teams, I'd say.
It might be.
Although I have to say, when Arsenal went out there and played them, you know, it didn't look quite as it should, you know.
No, but we know they were minus a manager at that stage as well.
Yeah. The only one thing I would say about Nunes and people going in on him and all, and I know obviously the glaring misses last night, and there's been a bunch of them over time and stuff like that. He has the same amount of Premier League goals this season as Jota and Gakpo, as far as I know.
Well, the Jota one wouldn't surprise me because he's missed 70% of the games.
But if you think about Jota early season and how good he's been.
Yeah, but he still only played 70% of the games he's played. So, you know, in that sense, does it shock me? Not really.
Well, Darwin's been on the bench quite a bit as well, remember. He started out in the season.
The Gakpo thing would surprise me a little bit because I think he's been very good for you generally.
And that's not me. I'm not defending Nunez either, you know what I mean? But I think everything has to be in context. I think there's just a huge disappointment in last night's result. I think we were lucky to escape with a point, to be honest. I know being 3-2 up in the 90th minute, we should see that out. We should be more prepared to see that out.
At the end, you're probably lucky the referee decides to blow the whistle when he does.
On the break.
That's terrible. If that's the other way, though, if that's the other way, you're spitting feathers, right?
Now, if that's the other way, he doesn't blow it up. He lets us go through. Yeah.
But if he did,
yeah. What do you think? I think if we're on the break like that, I don't think he blows that up. Do you?
I don't know, but like I'm spitting feathers.
What would your gut tell you? Your gut saying they don't blow it up until that goes out of play. Sure, they don't.
Probably not.
Yeah, that's my thinking. Yeah, but I just want to keep the same energy. Look, there was huge disappointment around last night. We still only lost one game this season. That's everything in context, you know.
Absolutely, and that's what happens. You get spoiled, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I just think, yeah, they'll have to figure out something, you know what I mean. But it doesn't help, you know what I mean. The only thing I would say is if he didn't blow it up, that terrible keeper Kelleher. He's always good on one-on-ones as well, isn't he? But
sure is.
We shall see. All right, folks, have a good weekend. Enjoy the football, whoever you are supporting. I hope your teams win, unless it's my team.
United. Sorry. We almost forgot.
Go.
Very, very important.
Go on.
A dear lady left us today. I don't know if you saw this.
The United, I said, Cat.
Dear lady by the name of Cat Phipps.
Yeah.
Left us today. Long time servant to the football club. Every single footballer, every single United footballer or ex-United footballer I saw on social media today was writing a post or a message about this lady. She gave her whole life to the club. You know, she was there since Sir Matt Busby was at Man United. She's seen Busby, Charlton, you know, Sir Alex, everything. Been a phenomenal servant to the club, and I know a lot of players put their feelings out there today and said that going back to United won't feel the same again without her. So, you know, thanks very much for your service, Kat, and you know, our hearts go out to your family and stuff like that. But thank you for what you've done for the club. You are a true servant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice way to end the show as well. Shout out as well like that. So yeah, absolutely. Thoughts and prayers go out to her extended family and obviously the extended United family, of course, when you lose someone like that. These are the unsung heroes that don't get mentioned in times of success and stuff like that.
I can tell you today she was certainly mentioned.
Today, yeah.
Certainly mentioned. It was actually lovely, you know, to see these footballers who at times we know get detached from the real world. It seemed to bring a lot of people back down to earth with a bump and say, you might be this guy on this amount of money a week and you might drive this car and live in this house, but it's all about the person you are. And you know, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's it, folks. Talk to you soon. Cheers, bro.
Thanks, pal.